On the home of the Spiders, ESPN 950 and ESPN950AM.com.
WXGI Richmond. Following presentation from IMG. We are One Richmond, united in red. It's drive time, and it's time to talk Richmond basketball with head coach Chris Mooney. This is the Spider Sports Line on ESPN 950 and Sports FM 100.5. Live from Joe's Inn Bon Air in the Bon Air Shopping Center. Tonight's show is brought to you by UPS, Joe's Inn Bon Air, home of the Spider Sports Line, Lux Chevrolet, Positive Vibe Cafe, and by CarMax. Be a part of the show. Call 804-622-0950. Out of town, it's toll-free, 1-877-994-4950. Or send an email to spidersportsline@richmond.edu. Now, let's go live to Joe's Inn Bon Air. Here's the voice of the Spiders, Bob Black, with Coach Mooney from the Spider IMG Sports Network. Powered by Ace Electric.
Bounce past the Klein along the baseline. Backs his way in on Mason. Has a mismatch there, but he finds an open Terry Allen slicing to the basket along the right side of the baseline. He puts it in and one. Oh, great look inside Trey Davis to TJ Klein over everybody and lays it in. Klein's got 11, another double-figure game, the 25th this year for TJ. Klein to Allen, a deep three with 2 on the shot clock in front of the Spider bench. Allen swishes it. Bounces it to Allen. Terry's going to drive to the basket. Nobody picked him up, and he banks it in from straight away for a 20-point game. 21 for Allen, his 10th 20-pointer of the year. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Spider Sports Line on a beautiful Monday evening in the capital city. I think that's one of the reasons everyone's in such a good mood. Another is they're here at Joe's Inn Bon Air for the Spider Sports Line, which is now underway. We welcome you if you're in the restaurant. Thanks for coming on a great-looking Monday afternoon. If you're listening on your way home, we thank you for tuning in. ESPN 950, Sports FM 100.5. RichmondSpiders.com. Bob Black with Spider head men's basketball coach Chris Mooney. A little bit later, assistant coach Marcus Jenkins is our special guest tonight. I would say new assistant coach, but Marcus is back with us now as an assistant coach. Was with us a director of basketball operation for several years, and then moved on to Princeton as an assistant coach before coming back this season. So Marcus will join us a little bit later in the show, and we hope you will as well. You heard the numbers a moment ago. Email address, spidersportsline@richmond.edu. Tweet @SpiderVoice as well. So we hope to hear from you tonight. Look forward to a good show as we get ready for the last week of the regular season. It'll start tomorrow night with senior night, always an emotional night. Dayton Flyers are in town. It's a 7:30 game. Note the start time a little bit later at 7:30 for television on CBS Sports Network tomorrow night. Our coverage here on the Spider IMG Radio Network is at 7 o'clock. So we'll preview that game in the last week of the regular season. And I kind of do want to note, normally we would have 1, 2, or all of our seniors the last week of the year. They're actually having a senior dinner tonight with their families. So that's why they're not here tonight. We will have a couple of them here next week before we get to the Atlantic 10 tournament, kind of recap their senior night. So didn't want you to think we were ignoring them on what obviously could be a senior night with the game and senior night activities tomorrow, but they're off to dinner with their folks tonight, so hopefully a couple of them will join us next week. All right, let's get into tonight's show, and again, hope to hear from you. 622-0950 is the phone number. The Spiders are coming off yet another win over the Duquesne Dukes Saturday in Pittsburgh. Chris, that is now 19 out of the last 20. The Spiders have beaten Duquesne. This is easy for broadcasters to say. Coaches hate it, I know, but it just feels like you got their number. Very easy thing to say. 19 out of 20, I'm going to argue you do have their number. What made this one a success Saturday night in what we looked at as a pretty complete game, both offensively and defensively? How so?
Well, I think I would say our defense was good, and so I thought GW, our defense was pretty good, and the 3 games leading up to the Davidson VCU game. So that's, more good than bad lately, even though the Davidson and VCU game weren't nearly good enough. So I thought our defense was good against a team who really scores. I think they were probably in the top 2 or 3 in the league in scoring, and the majority of their scoring comes from their backcourt. They have 2 guards who can really shoot, who can penetrate, who have great assist-to-turnover ratios, and that's usually trouble for us and for just about everybody. So I thought we really, really defended very well. Second half, I thought our defense there was a stretch there from about 18 minutes to about 10 or 9 minutes where it was one and done, or it was a deflected pass by the Spiders, or just something where it was very, very difficult for them to score. I never thought they got into a groove. I never thought Micah Mason, who may be one of the best shooters in college in A10 history for sure, never really found a rhythm and got himself just free and feeling good. So I think defense and hustle is a great play by Terry at half court where he dove and saved the ball. We ended up getting a turnover out of the play. And I think, Trey had a couple really big rebounds to start off the second half. Terry rebounded the ball well. So I'd say those things. I think our offense, which has been much more consistent and really has put up great numbers in a lot of games. I mean, there have been a lot of road games this year where we've shot over 50% from the field, kind of well over 50% from the field, had a lot of assists. I think that's been consistent. But I think our defense really put us over the top on Saturday.
You had a pretty good idea, and Greg Beckwith said the same thing on the pregame show, that T.J. Klein and Terry Allen could have good games, that the matchups were certainly in their favor Saturday night, and both came through with flying colors.
They did, and again, I would go back to Bob. Their passing is really what I think enables everybody to have a better game. I think T.J. had 7 assists. I think Terry might have had 3 or 4 assists, and when they get so much, when they have a positive matchup, that means they're going to get even more attention. When they get that attention and they can pass the ball, that really helps everybody get involved. It helps collapse the defense in a different kind of way, and it gets us to be, just to being a threat every time down the court. I think that really is. That is really something that really, really goes a long way for us. And there were a couple really nice plays when I know TJ hit Terry on the baseline and got an N1 call. So there were some really nice plays, and the ball moved very nicely. And those guys have a positive matchup a lot, and how they can help us exploit it is even more important. And I think they did a great job.
You mentioned shutting down Micah Mason, 3 for 11 from the field, 2 for 8 from three-point range in 38 minutes. That's back-to-back years that the Spider defense has shut him down. Why the success against him? Because obviously other teams aren't having the same success.
Yeah, I think he came in averaging about 18 points per game, and he has just an incredible assist-to-turnover ratio. So, I think as much as anything, I feel like this was regular in the past where we had a good way of, to an extent, dictating how the game would go from our defensive side, and really have always tried to take away the other team's, do our best job on the other team's best player, best scorer, best shooter. And so I don't know. I feel like we had success. I think it was important the first few times in the game where he had the ball off of a screen, off of a ball screen. He was really met with aggression, and I think being that we've had success against him in the past, I think that gave us an edge in that department, that we were being the aggressor, and that he was, to a certain extent stifled from the beginning, and which is hopefully fresh in his memory from years past.
I really thought the first couple of minutes of the game, Terry Allen, I think he had a steal and a big-time defensive rebound and either one of those assists you were talking about or a bucket. I really thought it was one of those games where he's not the most vocal leader, but if you can't follow him off of that example, that's on you, not on him as a leader.
I totally agree, and I think that you're right. He had a steal. He had a really big defensive rebound, up near the square. Then he had that play a little bit later in the half where he dove at half court, ended up being a turnover by Duquesne. I agree. I think Terry is, he's a great player, and I think that the conference scouting and season and whatnot has really been about other teams trying to stop him. And so, but to his credit, rather than being frustrated, he's worked. He's gotten in the gym extra, and he really attacked that game, and was a big reason why we won the game.
How important was it to win that game? And I don't mean to simplify it by that type of a question, Had lost 3 in a row. Last week of the season was looming with one of the best teams in the league coming into the Robins Center just to kind of get back on track. And didn't feel like too many guys had lost a lot of confidence, but just to have that good feeling going into the last week of the season, no matter what it does to the standings.
Well, you're absolutely right. I think that no matter what, it's just human nature to, even if you don't lose your confidence, you certainly have a little bit of doubt and you have a little bit of concern. I think, to the whole program's credit, I don't think it's been, as we sit and meet and plan practice and meet about recruiting, we don't just gripe about the guys and what could have been or anything like that. And I don't think the guys have griped about each other. I think there's been a very positive, energetic focus to everything we're doing, from shoot-around, practice, film, game, everything. And so, to their credit, I think that they were able to keep that. And then when hopefully you can, we talked about after the game against GW, the only thing you do is keep plugging, keep knocking, and hopefully you get something to go your way or a break goes your way, something you can latch on, do some momentum, and you can push yourself toward the next game and try to roll a little bit. And hopefully that was what happened on Saturday.
So do we have Duquesne's number? Come on, Coach.
That is a no comment.
Oh, 19 out of 20. Those are the numbers. Quick comment on the George Washington game.
Does that go back to Coach Beeline?
I would think so.
Must,
20 games, probably.
Yeah. Wow.
Right. His last year was first year in the A10. So that's probably where it started.
Right, yeah.
Yes, now that you say that, because we had lost 9 in a row to start the series against Duquesne.
Is that right?
Yeah. I think it was 8 in a row to start the series against Duquesne as non-conference.
Okay.
Opponents had just played over the last 100 years, and Duquesne had won all of them.
How about that?
And now, since we've been league opponents, it's 19 out of 20 for the Spiders. So we'll stay in the same league with them, if nothing else. From the George Washington game, the best thing that I thought came out of that one, Chris, and we talked about on the pregame the other night, was the play you got out of the 2 freshmen. Redshirt freshman Quan Four, true freshman Julius Johnson, to really kind of solidify a rotation for you, to give you the confidence to put those guys in the game. Quan obviously was a little bit ahead of Julius, and in return, those guys to have some confidence, knowing they're going to get quality minutes. Julius had 18 minutes, 7 points, 5 rebounds. Quan had 30 minutes and 12 points.
Yeah, I would say, to talk about them individually, Quan has been really, really, really good, and I think that I really do think the sky is the limit for him. The things that his some initial strengths of explosiveness and athletic ability and quickness are things that you obviously can't teach. I think his competitiveness and his sense for the game and his experience are really going to enhance those things. He shoots the ball pretty well. He made a 3 again against Duquesne. And I think Quan is really going to be somebody that's very, very difficult for anyone to contain, and he's also a very good defender, potentially a great defender. So I think he's done great. I've said all year about we wish we had him last year, because that experience that he would have gained, and no matter how many minutes you would have played, you're just a whole lot different when you're as a sophomore. Now, of course, we're happy to have him for 3 more years, and I just think, with the type of person he is, and with having the success as a freshman, that he could be scary good, just because of it's just very few guys have that level of speed, athleticism, finishing ability, all of those things, and great defensive ability. I think Julius, that was his best game against GW, but I think he's been really good here for about 6 weeks, whether it's practice, games, everything. I think he's really been a more committed player. I think as a freshman, there are a zillion challenges, but he has been, I tell you what, he is a tough kid, and he is not afraid of contact or bigger guys or anything. He is a tough-minded kid, and that's going to serve him well for his entire career. He hasn't shot the ball great yet, but he's a very good shooter. He's a very, hard-working shooter, and he's going to, at some point, he's going to be a guy who is probably our leading three-point shooter, or one of them, and a guy who's not afraid to mix it up at all. You could see he's always in the mix for rebounds at both ends of the floor. I think he's going to be a good one.
2 points real quick, and then we'll get to the phone, 622-0950. Ivan's waiting on hold. He'll be with us in a moment, but the lines are also open for you. We have the microphone in-house. If anybody's got questions, we'll be glad to give you the mic and let you ask away. Spider Sports Line at richmond.edu and at Spider Voice on Twitter. I can already hear the interview 3 years from now with Quan Ford, by the way. Boy, I'm sure glad he didn't play as a true freshman. Look where we are. So
That's true.
I'm sure that one's coming
Right.
3 years from right about now, I would say. Julius Johnson, we featured him on the pregame show before the Duquesne game, and I asked him the typical question you ask a freshman: where do you hope to improve moving forward? Chris, I would say 98% of the time, guys, particularly freshmen, will say defense, because they know that's what the coach is preaching, or they say rebounding, or they say I got to cut my turnovers down. Julius, when I asked him the question, God love him, said, I've got to score more points.
Yeah.
I've got to score more points. To what you just said, I've got to be able to make three-point shots. That's what I do. I've got to make more shots and score more points. I thought that was very refreshing, because a lot of guys won't give that answer because it makes it sound like it's kind of about them. They're looking at the stat sheet, that sort of thing. But in his case, you could certainly understand why he was saying that, and it kind of echoed what you just said, didn't it?
Yeah, you're right. And I've talked to Julius. I think one of the big differences from going to high school to college is naturally most of the guys are their best players on their team, or certainly one of the best, is the level of attention you have to give to practice and to your craft. And a lot of these guys have played a ton of basketball. And what that means today is they've played a lot of summer league and a lot of AAU tournaments, and they go from one game to the next. And I think guys who get to be great college players, and guys that we've been around, you take Kendall Anthony, you take Terry Allen, you take Kevin Anderson. Those guys are in the gym, and they're in the gym with a goal for that session, and whether that's however many shots they're going to take or make, or to improve their conditioning or ball handling, they're in the gym to work on that. And it's not to say that Julius is not a hard worker. He is. But there's a step up in terms of how you approach your time in the gym or your free time that you can really tell. And if you came, or if you looked at any program, probably you could tell the upperclassmen by how they approach practice, and most importantly, their time in the gym. And I think that he is someone who is very capable of that. I think he has an inherent work ethic, and just like every freshman, just needs to kind of hone in on what he needs to work on and how he needs to go about it.
You are listening to the Spider Sports Line. We're at Joe's Inn Bon Air each and every Monday night. We've been here for the most part during the college basketball season. We will be here next Monday night. We'll wrap up the regular season, preview the Atlantic 10 tournament. It is, as we do every year, our last regularly scheduled program. If things fall in the Spiders' favor, which we're certainly hoping they will, we'll get the information out to you if there are additional radio shows beyond next Monday night. Right now, we focus in on Ivan. He's patiently been waiting on hold. Ivan, welcome to the program.
Hey, Bob. Hey, Coach. How you both doing today?
Doing well, Ivan. Thanks. How are you?
Great. Well, first, congratulations on a great victory this past Saturday night.
I appreciate
I know
it.
it felt good to get that 800-pound gorilla off your back and finally got a big victory.
No question.
Because I know that no team had ever played harder, and you kept what I love about your team is it just never gives up.
Well, I appreciate it, and I think that is something that we talked today as coaches. That I'm proud of our coaches and our players. I think if you attended practice, you would just see great energy and effort and concentration. I don't think there is any sunken chest or slumped over shoulders or anything like that. I think guys are aware that we need to be better and willing to work at getting better, and also willing to attack the next game for how important it is. So I'm proud of everybody, of our coaches, managers, players, everybody for having that level of or having that outlook right now.
Yeah, I was wondering. I know you can't talk about who you're going to bring in next season as recruits, but can you tell us about what positions you're going to be looking at, and would you consider going to maybe a junior college to get some junior college players?
Well, that's a good question, Ivan.
Well, you can talk about the guys.
I can talk about the guys that are signed.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah, we can talk about the guys that are signed. I'll say this about junior college players, Ivan. There's a I believe Richmond's rule is that I don't want to be too technical, but the player had to be a qualifier out of high school, so that sometimes players go to junior college because they were a non-qualifier, meaning their combination of their GPA and their SAT score don't meet a particular minimum. But some players go to junior college even though they are a qualifier because maybe they weren't recruited at the level they wanted to be recruited. So I believe we can take a qualifier. So that's to answer your question. We're not as familiar with the junior college landscape, but I would say that we would never rule anything out. We're just not quite as familiar with that. And if it were to come up and there was somebody that was at a junior college for a reason other than his academics, then we would certainly take a really good hard look.
Okay. I was just curious. We're going into the last two games of the season. What can you tell us about the last two opponents?
Well, Dayton looks pretty great. They have really good players. They have a very, very good system. They've had success here. Well, they've had success probably for about 40 years, but they've had very good recent success. And they're just good. Each guy that you throw the ball, each guy that gets thrown the ball can score. He can pass. He can, go by you. So they're really, really good, and it's going to take a great effort for us tomorrow night. And then George Mason, they've been probably a little bit up and down for what they want to be, but they had a big win last week against VCU, and they have perhaps the most notable prospect in the country in their center. So, and they play very hard, and I was impressed with them when they were here. So, yeah, this is a big week for us, and we're really looking forward to hopefully really playing well. That's our biggest thing. Just go out, play well, play hard, compete, and let's see what happens.
Has there been any teams nationally this year you have been surprised about?
I would say I think there are a lot of teams nationally that have been somewhat surprising. I think I think like when you look at the highest level teams, they have so many things in their favor, but the one thing they don't have in their favor is every game they lose, everybody wonders, what happened to North Carolina or what's wrong with Duke, and so I've been fairly surprised with a lot of teams, Ivan, and obviously we focus so much on the Atlantic 10, but I think Cal is a team that we saw early who's played just tremendously. They blew out both their opponents this weekend that they had, and I think they've been really, really impressive, and we're glad we got to see them early in the season. So, but I think college basketball is just very surprising all the time. As soon as you think you know what's going on, usually the other thing happens.
Well, good luck, Coach. Good luck in this week's game. I hope you come out some big victories.
I appreciate that.
Spider assistant coach Marcus Jenkins coming up after this timeout as the Spider Sports Line continues from Joe's in Bon Air on ESPN 950, Sports FM 100.5, and the Spider IMG Sports Network powered by Ace Electric.
Have you been dreaming about a new deck, screen, porch, or room addition? Make it happen by calling Adideck at 285-4239. Adideck doesn't just build decks. Of course, we can build your new deck or renovate your old one, but we also build beautiful screen porches, open porches, sunrooms, and other room additions, and have been for over 25 years. We can design it, build it, and turn your dream into reality. Visit Adideck on the web at adideck.com or call 285-4239 today. That's 285-4239 for additions and decks by Adideck.
Hello, Spider Nation. Bob Black here. As the voice of the Spiders, I see day in and day out what it takes to get ahead of the competition. UPS's team of experts is no different. They offer the tools, advice, and insights to help your small business stay on point. Visit ups.com/startups to find out more. UPS, official logistics company of Richmond Athletics.
Lux Chevrolet is celebrating their 100-year anniversary, and they're going to use their century of experience to help you find your next Silverado, Suburban, Impala, Malibu, or Equinox. Lux Chevrolet uses their vast knowledge of GM vehicles to help you maintain and service your vehicle to keep it on the road longer and help maintain its value. So for Chevrolet sales, service, or parts, go where experience reigns supreme. Lux Chevrolet in Ashland and online at luxchevrolet.com. Proud to be family owned since 1916.
U of R's Chris Mooney, VCU's Will Wade, two coaches squaring off to settle the debate once and for all. Who is the best cooking basketball coach in the RVA? Find out Thursday, April 21st at 6 p.m. during the 4th Annual Coaches Cook-Off at the Science Museum of Virginia. Get your tickets today and support the Spiders, Coach Mooney, and Max's Positive Vibe Cafe's training program for people with disabilities. Enjoy hors d'oeuvres, drinks, and fun while finding out who's the best cooking coach in the kitchen. Tickets for the 4th Annual Coaches Cook-Off are available online at PositiveVibeCafe.com or at the Positive Vibe Cafe. Get yours today.
It's the best part of Monday. Talking Richmond basketball with Coach Mooney and his special guest. This is the Spider Sports Line live from Chosin Bon Air on ESPN 950 and Sports FM 100.5.
And again, just a couple of quick reminders. Tomorrow's game is at 7:30. First of all, it's tomorrow's game. It's a Tuesday night game for the Spiders this week at the Robins Center. 7:30 is tip-off. We'll have our senior ceremony about 10 minutes before tip, so please get there early tomorrow night. It's Fan Appreciation Night as well. You can go to our website, find out all the promotions going on tomorrow night at richmondspiders.com. But again, the game is at 7:30, and the senior ceremony to honor our seniors is about 7:15 or so tomorrow night, so we hope you'll get there in time for that. Will Bryan just mentioned and tweeted out that there's a nice feature that he put together on our Spider Seniors, a video feature, so go to our YouTube page. It's on our social media. It'll be on our website at richmondspiders.com as soon as he gets done enjoying dinner and sitting at the bar up there. But he's been working hard to put that feature together, so take a look at that on our Spider Seniors, and then we'll see you at the game tomorrow night at 7:30. All right, Marcus Jenkins, Spider assistant coach, joins us here at the head table at Joe's Inn Bon Air. A belated welcome back.
Yes, sir.
I guess, Marcus, you're not exactly new to the program, new to the position you're in right now, so catch us up on the time gone from Richmond when you left here as Director of Basketball Operations after the Sweet 16 season in 2011 to the time that you came back here in 2015.
Sure. Well, first, thanks for having me. I've been looking forward to this invite.
The crowd has
Spider
been clamoring
Sports
for
Line.
you.
You know, I've been emailing Will Bryan week after week, just trying to get an invite here to the Spider Sports Line.
What did you finally do to convince him to make this happen?
Yeah, I don't know. I think I just finally broke through, just persistence, I think. So, but yeah, happy to be here, happy to be back. After that Sweet 16 run, had the opportunity to go up to Princeton, spent 4 years there, loved every second of it. It was kind of like I went off to get my master's, I think, up at Princeton, and had the opportunity to work under Mitch Henderson, former player there, and obviously the Princeton coaching family tree is a tight one, and so I got to meet and work with a couple other guys, with Brian Earl and again Mitch Henderson, but it was great. Loved every second of it. Kind of got in. We like to think at the ground level, not that the history or tradition needed a boost there, but it was Mitch Henderson's first year, and we came in together and really kind of had to, figure out Princeton basketball and kind of how to make it great again is what we always kind of said, and figure out recruiting, which is, can be challenging there. It's obviously not that hard to sell Princeton and that brand. It's so well known, but without the scholarships in the Ivy League, there were some challenges, but it was great. Got to recruit great guys, got to coach great guys, and meet great families and be up in that Princeton area. Won some games, didn't win the Ivy League, but they're on their way towards that right now. Hopefully, having a great season, and got to have the opportunity to come back, which I was happy about.
So you speak so glowingly of Princeton.
Yeah.
You have the scout for Dayton, right?
I
that
do. That
question is in the brain. So you speak so glowingly of Princeton. Was it a no-brainer to come back to Richmond?
I would stop short of calling it a no-brainer. I always kind of hoped that I would be back here. It felt like family here. I got my start here thanks to Coach Mooney. And so I always kind of had it as a possibility. But I loved it up at Princeton, and really, it provided me a great place to kind of cut my teeth in coaching on the court and recruiting. And I really thought we were going to be good this year, which they are. So really, really happy again about that, and getting to watch them play, just have such a strong connection there. But yeah, it was, whatever's just short of a no-brainer. To come back once Coach Mooney called. And I'm not. Do you know how Coach Mooney has? I'm not sure if you heard the story. Now, Coach Mooney has.
He must know what's coming.
Extended an offer to me now twice. To become part of the Richmond family. So I was a first lieutenant in the Air Force out of Malmstrom Air Force Base, Great Falls, Montana. And I was getting out of the Air Force, and I had taken a job down in Austin, Texas. It was a done deal. I'd actually been training over the phone for 3 weeks. And I received an email from Coach Mooney, short and sweet, got right to the point. Marcus, I've got a spot open on my staff. Is that something you'd be interested in?
Nothing flowery. That was it. Air Force guys don't need pomp and circumstance.
That's right.
I had to double check, make sure it was really from him. I had no idea really what was going on. But so that was the first time around. I was happy just to be kind of considered, and it was a no-brainer at that point. Second time around, having spent 4 years here, I guess I was more, a bigger part of the family, whatever it may be. I got a phone call.
I was hoping it was a phone call.
I got a phone call that time. It just happened to be at midnight. Had a brand new baby, and my wife was sick. But it was a fantastic phone call to receive, and happy to be back.
Chris, let me turn the circular table that we're sitting at. Was it a no-brainer to go to Marcus when you had the opening when Jamal left for Miami?
Well, it was. So that's why. Well, my email was down, so I had to call him. Well, what happened was the morning Jamal left. I mean, this is how quickly things happen in coaching. But Coach Larinaga texted me at 7:30 in the morning to see if I would have time to talk that morning, and so I called him, and he just was telling me that he had interest in hiring Jamal as an assistant. So throughout the course of the day, I was super excited for Jamal, but also really wanted to keep him. So we had conversations back and forth, and finally that night I went upstairs to lay the boys down, and Leah couldn't get the job done. And so I was called in because they were awake, and I fell asleep with them. So I woke up and I had like 18 missed calls from Jamal. And I felt terribly because I know he was probably making his decision. So then I didn't call him back until about 11. We talked for about a little over an hour or so. And then when he had made his decision, which was I was really excited for him, I called Marcus right away just to say, hey, I don't want to have to make too many phone calls about this. We would love to have you back if that's something you're interested in.
Good story. Really good stuff. Really good stuff. Talk a little bit about what you think may have changed since you were here, Marcus, and obviously your role is significantly different now as an active assistant coach.
Right. Yeah, that's at least personally one of the biggest changes. Obviously, being able to be on the court and coaching guys on the court, but the similarities, at least when it comes to coaching, is something that really I thought of and I really enjoyed while I was here the first time around. It's just that family atmosphere and that family-like feeling, whether as operations or assistants. Like, we all have really a close relationship with the players, the staff. It's a tight-knit group. So from that standpoint, being around the guys and coaching them and talking to them and, being, a little bit of a mentor to them, that I knew wasn't going to be that different. The recruiting piece is different, having to be out on the road and finding good players and kind of continuing the success we've had here, which coming off the NIT run was great. And obviously the last memory I have is the Sweet 16 and some of the great players that we had on that team. So, I knew that a lot would be expected of me, but, I thought it would be something I was up to.
I got a lot of great questions coming up here. I almost want to ask them now before I forget them, but let's take a break. We're about halfway through. We'll come back, several more topics with Marcus Jenkins, Spider assistant coach. We'll also get a scouting report on Dayton for tomorrow night, so you know what to look for when you get to the Robins Center. Back in a moment on the Spider IMG Sports Network, powered by Ace Electric.
Carytown Burgers and Fries.
Carytown Burgers and Fries can literally change your mood with their food. I feel so much burger better.
I have been obsessed with the new Shore Pub location. Awesome vibe, great bar area, tons of huge flat screens. It's my new go-to spot to watch all the games.
The kids and I love the $5 burger night every Wednesday. Oh, So good.
In Short Pump next to the Hilton, 5404 Lakeside Ave and 3500 West Cary Street. Carytown Burgers and Fries.
It's not just a burger anymore.
Joe's in Bon Air is proud to support University of Richmond basketball. Join us Monday evenings during the college basketball season at 5:30 for the live broadcast of the Spider Sports Line, featuring head coach Chris Mooney and player guests. And remember, kids eat free all day, every Monday and Tuesday. Enjoy one free kids meal per paid adult entree or sandwich. Joe's Inn Bon Air is located in the Bon Air Shopping Center at the corner of Buford Road and Forest Hill Avenue, and at joesinbonair.com.
Need a good price on tires with great service? Visit Dyke Tire, your locally owned Tire Pros dealer, for all your car care needs. Our services start with a full line of tires for your car and truck, including Michelin and BF Goodrich. We work on all vehicles, from oil changes to repairs to your engine, that'll keep your car safe on the road. Dyke Tire Pros is a proud supporter of the University of Richmond Spiders. Visit Dyke Tire Pros in Richmond today or online at dyketire.com.
It's a Hoops Happy Hour. This is the Spider Sports Line, live from Joe's Inn Bon Air. Once again, here's Bob with Coach Mooney on ESPN 950 and Sports FM 100.5 and the Spider IMG Sports Network, powered by Ace Electric.
All right, right to these questions before I forget about them with Marcus Jenkins, Spider assistant coach, and head coach Chris Mooney on our Spider Sports Line. Chris, what kind of player was Marcus Jenkins? For those of you who don't know, Chris was associate head coach at the Air Force when Marcus was a player there, right?
Yes, definitely. So we came in, Joe Scott was the head coach, and we came in Marcus's freshman year. So you actually meet the freshmen at Air Force in the summer when they're taking basic cadet training. So the first basketball meeting we had, in the spring when we got there, right before school was out, the first basketball meeting we had, there were 45 people at the 45 players at the basketball meeting, because there's a JV team, and it was just craziness. So we had brought in a few freshmen, including Marcus, and so we met them probably in June right there before your freshman year. So, and then Marcus was a very good player. He was on the team in 2004 when we were nationally ranked, went to the NCAA tournament, played North Carolina. And I would say his first 2 years, he was a player who developed. He has the most points in the history of the scout team. As you know, we keep the scout team. It's probably not close. And John Moran might have been catching him. That's why he was a proponent of lobbying.
I was lobbying for that.
But no, Marcus is a really good all-around player, very good passer, sense for the game, good athlete, great rebounder for a guard, just a very good all-around player.
What attracted you to Air Force? You've got to be, all kidding aside, you've got to be a special person to go to any of the academies, Air Force included in that. We've been out there to play. That was my first experience out there. What a beautiful place, great setting, but I'm not wearing that uniform. You did. What attracted you to Air Force?
It's hands down one of the most beautiful prisons in the world.
There's a recruiting pitch if I ever heard one.
Exactly. Go Air Force. I mean, the further I've gotten away from graduation, my love for it has grown. But it's a tough place, that's for sure. But what initially attracted me to it was my dad. Both my father and my grandfather were both officers in the Air Force. And I had zero intention of going into the military or even going to the Air Force Academy or playing basketball at the Air Force Academy. But once they started recruiting me, my dad was like, "Guess where you're going?" And it really was kind of my best opportunity. I didn't know it at the time, but looking back, it's one of those things that kind of it grows on you, and you kind of begin to realize what it does for you, even while you're there, and for your career afterwards once you graduate and get out of that place. But it was certainly challenging, but it was certainly fun. And being on the basketball team and the success that we had, which was historic, was just made it all that much better.
The Dayton Scouting Report coming up here in just a moment. One of my favorite parts of road trips with these guys, Chris has been doing it now for 10 or 11 years, is telling stories about the legendary Princeton head coach Pete Carrill. Chris, of course, tells them from his playing days, be on the bus or in a hotel lobby, and Marcus days, because he's still around the program, isn't he, Mark?
Sure
Give us a little bit of the background on Coach Carrill and how much he is still ingratiated with Princeton basketball.
He's an honorary coach for sure. I think he gave himself that title. But he, and it's credit to Mitch Henderson, the head coach, because Coach Carrill was around every single day. And especially once he was working with the Kings when I first got there, and then he started doing a little bit of almost like consulting for the Kings my second year, and then he was around Jadwin Jim and around our team almost every single day, and a walking, talking legend right there. So me as a young assistant coach, I had my pen and pad out, and I was writing down every single thing he had to say, which was quite a bit, actually. And it was a credit to Mitch because, he kind of, even while he was coaching the team, Coach Carrill had his input, and he saw some things, and so it really was good having him around. The guys, our players, on the other hand, while they knew who he was, I didn't know if they truly understood it, even though his name's on the court and, he's got a banner in the rafters. He would be after practice every single day. Whoever was the last couple guys on the court, he would almost put them through a workout. From sitting down on the side at the scorer's table and just be like, yo, fellas, just shoot some layups, move out a little bit, shoot some more, good. And no matter what they did, he was great. He'd be like, good. And I'd be like, Coach, you just missed 5 in a row. He's like, their form was great. So he was a really special person to be around. And there's numerous stories that I got to witness, which is great.
Favorite part of coaching?
I think it's honestly being around the guys. It keeps me young.
You are young.
I hope I can just stay right at this level. You get tossed out there in practice every once in a while. Being a former player, we've got it hurts me and it helps me because I am the one that gets tossed out there and expected to kind of do some things, but I am getting older and I can't do the things that I used to do when I was on the scout team at Air Force. But being around the guys, it's teaching them and coaching them and seeing them pick up different things, and whether it's a day later, a month later, or at the end of the season, doing something that you may have showing them a clip on how to come off a screen and make a proper read, or even it's something as small as them stopping by the office and just sitting there and wanting to talk to you. It's just it's such a redeeming profession because of that.
How tedious and taxing is the recruiting process?
It's extreme, and keeping up with the Joneses is something that you've got to do, and we're obviously trying to recruit at a high level, and you have to at Richmond. So a lot goes into it, constant phone calls, and now we're allowed to text message. And so if you're not calling and texting and, showing up at games and just being around these players and in their life at all times, you're losing ground to somebody. So from that aspect, it is challenging, especially when you get home and you just want to spend time with your family. Still got to make phone calls, and you still got to just stay on top of it. But building that relationship and communicating with those guys once they get on campus makes that part of it even better too.
Chris, is there a strength that Marcus particularly has as an assistant coach that you've seen over the past, really less than a year now?
Well, I would say his biggest strength is he would be good at everything, and I think he's just an excellent communicator. I think that's probably the thing that you have to do the most in our job, whether that's communicating to me or to the operations guys or most importantly to the players, is having that clarity of how you convey your message. And I think whether it's the scouting report or feedback or while he's recruiting, I think his ability to communicate is outstanding and probably the most important quality to have.
All right, last thoughts, Marcus. Let's get that Dayton scouting report. This is a team that was going great guns, was up to 15th, I think, in the nation. They have, hit a speed bump here. They've lost 3 out of their past 4. What are you seeing from Dayton coming in here tomorrow night?
They're still pretty good. Number one, I don't think this speed bump is slowing them down too much. They've got just too many good players at just about every position. They've obviously done a nice job recruiting, just getting really players that are good at a little bit of everything at most positions. They're 2 big guys. Pollard, who came back against Rhode Island, he had been missing a few games. So he'll be back. Expecting to see him. He's just a really tough matchup for anybody down on the block. Really good going over his left shoulder. Pierre is very similar to him. Another strong, really tough guy that can score. He does a little bit more inside and out. And then they've got these guards on the perimeter that can do a little bit of everything. Sometimes you run up against a guard that maybe can only shoot, or it prefers to really go right, and so you might be able to let the guys know that, and they know to maybe shadow to the left a little bit because he loves going that way so much. So this team is not like that. They can hurt you in so many different ways. They've got guys that shoot a really good percentage, 3 guys that shoot 40% from 3, including Pierre, and then some tough guys. They've been starting the big kid Steve McElvain, who's a redshirt freshman, the last few games, who's just kind of a monster in the middle. So we're going to have our work cut out for us, but I like our chances at home, especially coming off of a nice road win. Like Coach mentioned, we've had some great practices. The last 2-3 weeks have been fantastic, and there's been opportunities where our guys could have dipped, and they haven't. They've really come ready to practice and brought it every single day, and that's something that I love about this team because it gets us energized as well. So it'll be a challenging game, but I really like playing at home as well.
Marcus, I think you're a hit. We'll have you back.
Appreciate it.
I promise. Marcus Jenkins, Spider assistant coach, thanks for being with us. Go over and enjoy dinner here from Joe's in Bonaire. We'll take a timeout. Got another special guest I'm going to bring up to the head table when we return after this break. Spider Sports Line on ESPN 950, Sports FM 100.5, and the Spider IMG Sports Network, powered by Ace Electric.
Can you handle a full rack? Buzz can. He's been smoking, chopping, saucing, and glazing barbecue his way for over 30 years, specializing in succulent spare, tender baby back, and jumbo beef ribs with recipes handed down for generations. And don't forget about the award-winning pulled pork sandwiches, cooked daily over Buzz's signature hickory smoked wood. Stop by the original location at 1119 North Boulevard in the Fan, or the new Buzz and Ned's Real Barbecue at 8205 West Broad Street in the West End.
To the person who doesn't like to be put on the spot, we don't get why the world needs an instant answer either. Decaf or regular, will you marry me, paper or plastic, it's all just too much. That's why CarMax will appraise your car in about 30 minutes, and our offer is good for a full week. No pressure to make a decision, just walk out the door and sleep on it. Or don't. We'd never pressure you to walk or sleep, and definitely not at the same time. Way too dangerous. CarMax, the bright side of car buying.
100 years is a long time, and Luck Chevrolet is celebrating their 100-year anniversary. Let them use their century of experience to help you find your next Silverado, Suburban, Impala, Malibu, Equinox, or commercial upfit vehicle. Luck Chevrolet uses their vast knowledge of GM vehicles to help you maintain and service your vehicle to keep it on the road longer and help preserve its value. So for Chevrolet sales, service, or parts, go where experience reigns supreme. Luck Chevrolet in Ashland and online at luckchevrolet.com. Proud Spider sponsors and proud to be family-owned since 1916.
Hey guys, this is Big Alan. I want to talk to you about something serious. Prostate cancer. 1 in 7 of us will develop it. I know firsthand because I was diagnosed with prostate cancer. Fortunately, I was diagnosed early, and when caught early, it's treatable. I went to Virginia Urology, where my doctor discussed my options, listened to my concerns, and took care of me in a thorough and professional manner. So if you're over 40, have a family history, or are African American, you need to talk to your doctor about an annual prostate cancer screening. Call Virginia Urology, 288-0339, or go to virginiaurology.com.
Richmond Spiders basketball on ESPN 950 and ESPN950AM.com is brought to you by Geico Insurance. Get a free quote online, day and night, at geico.com. The timeout's over, so it's your chance to talk Richmond basketball with Coach Mooney, live from Joe's Inn, Bon Air. This is the Spider Sports Line on ESPN 950 and Sports FM 100.5 and the Spider IMG Sports Network, powered by Ace Electric.
Jones inside to Terry Allen for a one-hand dunk by Allen from Jones.
Yeah, good post up by that Terry. Sealed his man very nicely.
Martin's Food Markets donating $100 for a Spider dunk to feed more. Stop out hunger.
All right, welcome back to the program, and we used that particular highlight and that dunk because we want to talk a little bit about one of our corporate partners and sponsors of Spider Basketball and what they do. And hopefully in our radio broadcast during the course of the year, you've heard us talk about the partnership that Martin's Food Markets has with Feed More and the $100 donation they make in games that the Spiders have dunks, like the Terry Allen dunk in the Duquesne game on Saturday night, to, as they say, help dunk hunger across Central Virginia. And we want to talk about that for just a couple of moments. Christy Dalton is the Community Events Manager for Feed More, and she's been kind enough to spend some time with us tonight here at Joe's Inn Bon Air. Christy, welcome. Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having me.
A general question. Background. What is Feed More? What is the purpose? What is the goal of what you do?
Well, we are dedicated to fighting hunger here in Central Virginia, really in our own backyard. We work with a lot of partners to efficiently and effectively fight hunger here in Central Virginia. 1 in 7 Central Virginians is food insecure, so we provide around 207,000 meals every day to people out there in Central Virginia.
That's an awful lot. What in general terms is hunger like in Central Virginia? We're very fortunate here in this room. It's a ways from us from that perspective. Bring us a little bit closer to it.
So we focus on hunger in 3 specific areas. We look at feeding families that are, a lot of them are living paycheck to paycheck. They've had some kind of medical emergency. They've lost their job and they're not sure where they're getting that extra money from. They're choosing between, do I pay my rent or do I get food? So we're helping them get through that. We work with seniors who are homebound that can't get out anymore or shop or cook for themselves through our Meals on Wheels program. So we deliver 5 days a week to seniors so they can stay in their home longer, where they're happier and able to stay healthier. And then we help fight hunger with children through our weekend backpack program to kids that are getting lunch through this free and federal reduced lunch program. They don't get anything on the weekend, so we're sending backpacks home to them for the weekends. And then in the summer, they don't have those meals, so through our summer feeding program, we're able to get them breakfast and lunch during the summer months.
Tell us about the partnership with the University of Richmond. We talk about you on every radio broadcast, but take us a little bit beyond that and tell us about the partnership.
So we are very fortunate that Martin's has partnered with the University of Richmond and Feed More. For every game that there is a dunk, they donate $100 to us. We have great purchasing power, so for every dollar that we get, we can turn that into 5 pounds of food. Wow. So for every $100 we get, we're turning that into 500 pounds of food. So that's very, very helpful. You can get a couple more dunks for us tomorrow, please.
Right. If only I was playing.
Got a couple plays designed, ending dunks, alley-oop dunks, any kind of dunks.
That'd be great.
How can we talk about Richmond's involvement, Martin's involvement? How can other folks get involved?
You know, it's so easy to get involved with us. At every Martin store, there's a purple bin. You can buy any kind of non-perishable food. We always love to have peanut butter, cereals, tuna fish, oatmeal, rice, beans. You can just put it in those purple bins outside of the Martin stores. Our trucks go by there every couple of weeks and we pick that up. You can drop donations off to us at any time at our headquarters at 1415 Road Miller Street. You can go to our website, feedmore.org, and you can make a donation. We also do what we do by lots of volunteers. On any given day, we have 250 volunteers helping us out. They're either delivering our Meals on Wheels, they're in our community kitchen helping us prepare wonderful meals for our seniors and our kids, or they're helping us sort all of that wonderful food. So you can go to our website and learn more about our volunteer opportunities and come in and give of your time, because that is a huge help to us.
Christy, you've been there how long?
I've been there 10 years.
10 years. So you obviously have a passion for it, don't you?
I do. I love what I do, love what we do.
We can hear it in your voice, for sure. We appreciate you spending some time with us today. The fans will cheer even louder, Coach Mooney, when we get a dunk.
Let's go.
So, Christy, we do appreciate you coming. I'm sure I can see our folks nodding their head in appreciation of what you do and the partnership with the University of Richmond. Christy Dalton, thank you.
Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it. Christy
Good luck,
Dalton,
Coach.
thanks.
Thank you very much.
from Feedmore, the community events manager. You hear us talking about him on the broadcast. You see it at the Robins Center when you go over there. So be cheering extra loud when we get that dunk tomorrow night for the $100 donation to Feedmore from Martin's Food Markets. Christy, again, thank you very much. Appreciate you being here. We have a few minutes left to talk a little bit more about the Dayton game coming up tomorrow night, 7:30 at the Robins Center. Get to a couple of email questions as well. Let me get to one. Chris, we talked about, I think it was Ivan who asked the question about junior college transfers. A question that I got to Spider SportsLine at richmond.edu focused more on graduate student transfers and what type of interest you might have in that moving forward.
Well, yeah, so they have a rule now, which has been in existence maybe for about 4 or 5 years, where if you graduate with eligibility remaining, so for whatever reason you've graduated early or you've redshirted, if you graduate, you can transfer and not have to sit out a year. Mm-hmm. And so last year the number really spiked. Coaches, I think, generally are against the rule. But I think administrators are not against the rule or for the rule. And I think it has existed in the other sports, and it's relatively new to basketball. And so last year the number really spiked. I think there were maybe 60, 70, 80 guys who did this. And so basically you recruit a player who comes in for 1 year. And, the advantages are that he's 21, 22 years old. He's already played 3 years of college basketball. He's experienced, he's strong, he's mature, right, ideally. Of course, a negative is that he's only with you for 1 year, and maybe he wouldn't fit in or understand or take time to learn. So, it's something that is out there. Louisville's two best players this year are both graduate transfers, one from Drexel, one from Cleveland State, and they're by far Louisville's best players. So it has worked to varying degrees of success. There have been other guys who have done it who have had little to no impact at their new school. VCU's second leading scorer,
Bilberry.
Corey Bilberry, is graduated from Oral Roberts and transferred. So it is something that we'll look into. And, I think that you probably have to look into it. When recruiting, you don't kind of dip your toe in there. You'd have to try to be aggressive and look into it and try to see if we could find someone who is the right fit and, position-wise, character-wise, and what his experience was and, why he might be leaving.
How about from a qualifications standpoint, just academically from the university side of things? Is it a tough thing to pull that off to a graduate student? Obviously, it's got to be easier than the junior college route that we talked about earlier.
Right. Well, it'd be a different set of admissions because you'd be recruiting him, he'd be applying to the graduate school now. So it's just different. And so now his high school, I don't know if his high school transcripts would have any bearing.
Right.
I don't really know the answer to that. But his college performance would probably have a lot to do with it. So to be the honest answer to that question is I don't really know that yet.
Well, we're going to hopefully find out. We'll see what's out there for the Spiders moving forward. Question from the Duquesne game. Other than in the full court pressure that you applied, you didn't use really any zone against the Dukes in that game. Would a zone have helped in some areas to ease the risk of fouling and protect your big guys more? And I'm going to, because you're thinking of the answer, I actually at one point thought you had gone zone.
Yeah.
You had not, and Greg Beckwith admonished me on the radio and even said, Bob, we're not going zone against this team because Micah Mason can shoot from 28, 30 feet.
Right.
That was his answer.
If
you want to answer the same way, please feel free.
Well, that would be the biggest thing is when you have a shooter like that, they really have Coulter's also a great shooter, but a tremendous shooter like that, that would be very risky to go zone. I didn't think in that game, our foul trouble was as bad in that game. Mm-hmm. Now we've played more zone this year than all the other years combined, and it has helped us in some instances, and I think can continue to help us. So we'll see. I think we'll play a little bit of zone tomorrow night, but I didn't feel like in that game it would have been a great strategy, and I didn't feel like we were in as much foul trouble necessarily.
Absolutely not. All right, really good stuff. Great show tonight here at Joe's in Bon Air. We're back next Monday night for our pre-Atlantic 10 show. Try and get a couple of the seniors celebrating senior night tomorrow to join us next week and talk more about that experience as well. Coach, thanks.
Thank you, Bob.
Marcus Jenkins, thank you. Enjoy Joe's In Bon Air dinner sitting over there. We appreciate you being here tonight, and everyone in the house. Please appreciate your waiters and waitresses. They've worked hard maneuvering through the tables here at Joe's Inn, Bon Air. 7 o'clock is our airtime tomorrow night. 7:30 tip time, Richmond and Dayton from the Robins Center. Fan Appreciation Night. We will see you there on the Spider IMG Sports Network, powered by Ace Electric. Good night, everyone.